Kevin Motai, over to you. Good to see you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Dibal. Indeed, it's a sunny afternoon here in Mombasa. And Dibal, we are receiving reports of suspected cases for COVID-19 at the Shimo la Tewa maximum prison. Of course, we cannot independently verify these reports, but according to some officials we've managed to speak to, some are alluding that they have been several cases at that particular facility, and they have managed to contain the situation and, of course, increased surveillance at the facility. Remember, Shimo la Tewa is serving inmates from all over the region, and of course remandees who are currently waiting for their cases to be heard and determined. But of course, linking that story also to what we witnessed yesterday is that 11 court officials have tested positive, or rather have been confirmed to have contracted the coronavirus, and that led the Chief Justice David Maraga to suspend all court activities in Mombasa, saying that court users will soon prepare to be served via online or virtual means. And again, we understand that 118 court officials have been identified and categorized as primary contacts. These are people who came into contact with the 11 confirmed cases, but of course we understand that the city court, the main high court that is just next to the city center, those are some of the facilities that have been affected. But of course also we understand that contact tracing is still going on, and that the departments that have heavily been hit includes the registry department, which we are informed that a huge number of contact cases came. The health authorities have managed to get a huge number of contact persons from that department. But of course, again, just looking at the entire outlook of COVID-19 in the coast, Mombasa County to be specific, Dibal, is that they have tested 17,120 people, out of which 1,179 have been confirmed positive. This is as of yesterday, with of course over 200 recoveries. And again, Mombasa County is currently monitoring 28 people who are currently in home isolation. And of course, this is something that the health authorities are trying to give a little bit focus on, to ensure that those who will be allowed to isolate themselves at home, definitely they must be able to meet the guidelines from the Ministry of Health for them to be allowed to do so. And again, we are reporting that 48 people have succumbed to the virus here in Mombasa County. And just to break down to the distribution of the virus in Mombasa County, Dibal, is that Vita constituency leads with 445 positive cases. Kisauni has 184. Likoni has 165 people who've tested positive for the virus. Nyali 146, Changamwe 121, and lastly, Jomvu constituency lags behind with 102 people who have been infected with the disease. But of course, we've seen lots of people coming forward to come up with ways to contain the virus. And again, this morning, we saw a group of imams meeting in Mombasa. This is coming ahead of the reopening of mosques, not only here in Mombasa, but of course the entire coast region, as well as the entire country. And they were just sitting to discuss some of the recommendations they will be presenting to the Interreligious Council appointed by the government to come up with some of the guidelines that they'll be able to present to the Ministry of Health, so as to develop protocols to be used before reopening of the mosques. And one of the key things that they talked about is the issue of Qurans. The imams are proposing that they'll no longer be allowing sharing of Qurans, and perhaps suggesting that for those who will be accessing these facilities will have to, if they don't have one, then they'll have to install the applications on their mobile phones. And of course also raising an issue with services such as ablution, and of course washing of washrooms, which they said that they'll remain closed for some time. And again, one thing they said that they will adhere to the COVID-19 recommendations from the Ministry of Health, which includes social distancing, which they say is a pertinent and a great issue, that perhaps for them to be allowed to go back into the mosques, then definitely they have to make sure that that is in place. And of course making sure that they have sanitizers and washing units, whereby every person accessing the facility will definitely have to sanitize before getting in. And again, what we also understand is that they're proposing to have temperature screening at all entry points of all mosques, and of course anyone with body temperatures exceeding 39 degrees will not be allowed to access the mosque. And again, urging the faithful to adhere to these particular guidelines, so as to ensure that they'll be able to they'll be able to go back to their mosques. So Dibal will just be looking at the entire issue with regards to COVID-19 and developments with that particular matter from the Ministry of Health, and of course we'll be speaking to different stakeholders, the health officials, and perhaps we'll come up with a comprehensive story on what's happening concerning COVID-19, not only here in Mombasa but the entire coast region. Back to you, Dibal.